Good evening. Welcome to the Salem Area Mass Transit District's Board of Directors virtual meeting. Today is Thursday, March 25th, 2021. It's almost 6:45. We apologize for the delay. We had some technical difficulties, but we're up and running now, and so we'll jump right in. So, Ms. Golly Isaac, could you please note the attendance? It appears that we have a full complement of board members. And then we'll roll right along to the Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked General Manager Pollock to lead us in that.
Oh, there, he's got it. He's got it. All right. Please say along with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And General Manager Pollock, could you lead us in the safety moment?
Yes, great. So some good news on the COVID front, at least for Polk County residents. Effective tomorrow, the governor has modified the risk level, and Polk County moves from high risk to moderate risk, which is a step in the right direction. Marion County does remain at high risk. So I would caution, though, even though West Salem is in Polk County, it is very well blended into Marion County, and people are crossing the bridge all the time. So still remain vigilant and continue to practice the 3 W's of washing your hands, wearing your mask, and watching your distance. And if we continue to do that, conditions will improve and more things will open up in the future. That concludes my safety moment.
Great, thank you, General Manager. Before we dive into our meeting, I wanted to take a few minutes to acknowledge some recent events. Sadly, there has been an alarming increase in violence and hate crimes targeted to Asian and Asian Americans within our community and throughout the nation in recent months and weeks and even days. We denounce these violent acts, which have not only spiked in their frequency, but in their gravity. It may be comforting to think that this is a problem somewhere else, that this is somehow confined to Atlanta or to other regions of the country, and surely not here. But that is not the case. A few weeks ago, just 4 blocks from here, in fact, a 21-year-old Asian American woman was pushed down to the ground and physically assaulted by 2 men who made disparaging and racially charged remarks at her. Let me be clear. This was a racially motivated hate crime involving physical violence and harassment targeted at a member of our community, our neighbor. It's important to note that while this instance made the news, it is not the only time violence has been done to Asian Americans in our area, and certainly isn't the only time prejudice has been shown. Because someone who commits racially motivated violence, before someone commits racially motivated violence, they have racially prejudiced thoughts. And these sentiments have, unfortunately, been protected or at the very least minimized by influential institutions in our country. For that reason, I think it's important that we, as an institution, are very clear about where we stand on this issue. We do not and will not stand for hate or violence, discrimination, or any other form of racism. We are committed to doing our part as the public transit provider in our region to ensure that our community is a place of safety, trust, and belonging. Attacks such as these are painful reminders of the importance and significance of the work our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee is engaged in. As a board, we're committed to maintaining a business and working environment that is welcoming, supportive, and safe. In our role as public servants, we will not tolerate discrimination, intimidation, or violence directed against any member of our community. It is unacceptable. With unified voices and actions, we can foster a more inclusive and safer society, and we are working towards that goal. So, next on our agenda is the slight change actually to our agenda. I wanted to note that item G1 will switch positions with H1. So we'll have the informational report before the action item. And with that, we'll turn it over to public comment. Ms. Galeazzi, did anyone sign up for public comment in advance, or do we have anyone on the line to provide that comment?
There is no one that signed up.
Okay, great. Thank you
Ahead of
so
time.
much. Next, we have the consent calendar. So unless there are any issues with the items on the consent calendar, we can go ahead with a motion. Bob?
I move that we adopt the consent calendar.
Thank you, Director Krebs. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Richards with the second. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, Ms. Galeazzi, could you call the vote?
Director Krebs,
Aye.
President Davidson,
Aye.
Director Nguyen, Director Nguyen. Okay, thank you. Director Carney,
Aye.
Director Richards,
Aye.
Director Bush,
Aye.
Director Yanoho Pressy.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous vote approving the consent calendar.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to our informational report, a briefing on the South Salem Transit Center project. General Manager.
So I'll turn it over to Steve Dickey to make the introductions and the report.
Good evening, President Davidson and members of the board. Tonight, we're happy to bring to you a status update on our South Salem Transit Center site selection process. Since we are going out of order with the printed agenda, I just want to remind you that we'll be starting on page 25 of your agenda packet. We provided a fairly lengthy memo for you, giving you a background of this project that has been going on actually since its inception in 2004 when it was a concept. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over a lot of the history, but since we have a significant number of our board members are newer and have not been around for a length of time that gives much history for this project, I thought it would be useful to have that. But in that, it was really birthed in what was known as the strategic business plan at the time, and a concept called the 3 Cs, which really were the corridors, centers, and circulators, was a rather household term for many, many years with Cherriots. And it was something that we referred to be a kind of a core function of how we would move forward in serving our community more effectively. And one of those Cs, of course, was centers. At this point, we determined that there was a need for one in Kaiser and one in South Salem. And as we know today, we've been successfully operating one in Kaiser, but we still are on the hunt for the right location and the right design for one in South Salem. And of course, over these many years, we've seen a significant change in our community, the focus of our community, and how our town is developing, and the priorities for our community, and even unforeseen things such as a global pandemic and shaping how people will travel. So I want to skip forward to now where we are today. In addition to this memo, we also provided you a table of chronology, especially detailing probably the kind of the peak of our last effort, which was when we had gone through a site selection process and had settled on a location at the South Salem Walmart to use the southwest corner of their parking lot and property that was out between their parking lot and Commercial Street. And long story short, after a long time negotiating back and forth and actually visiting, having actual in-person meetings out here with representatives from Walmart headquarters in Bentonville, Arkansas, we came to an impasse on being able to negotiate a successful acquisition of the property without having to exercise eminent domain. And Walmart made it very clear that that would have been a long and very costly legal battle to make that happen. So a decision was made to stop the process and put it on hold. So now we, in that time period, took a moment to review our priorities, review how we were serving South Salem, and to really begin looking at what we are now focusing on, which is becoming a mobility integrator and centering around the use of a transit center as becoming really a mobility hub for a variety of different types of modes of service that both include things that we are doing today and things that we can be doing in the future to better serve our community. Things such as microtransit, transportation network companies, bicycle sharing, car sharing, scooters, and any number of things that we have yet to see developed. And tonight I have with us Brian Parncombe from Parametrics. We issued an RFP for starting this new process, and in January, Parametrics came on board with us and is carrying us forward in this process to identify the ideal location and help us settle on that based on our new lens. So Ryan is here. He's going to share a presentation with us and just touch briefly on our background, but then we'll be going forward from where we are with the start of this project and going forward from where we are today and what's expected next. So Ryan, take it from here.
Thanks, Steve. And thanks everyone for the opportunity to talk with you about projects. Appreciate it. I wanted to flash forward the agenda for the discussion tonight. I think I'll actually skip ahead a little bit. Steve's already chatted about the history of the project and cut straight to the current work that we're working with. So to give you an overview of the process we're in over the next months or so, before we start looking at exact transit center and mobility hub locations, we're undertaking an exercise to look at transit and mobility needs in South Salem. And that's really critical to future siting of the transit center. We want to make sure that the future transit center is durable for the long term. So that means we want to make sure we have a good understanding of the future of transit in the south part of Salem before we make that site. We're also going to be engaging the public throughout this process. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. We're also going to define all of the desired transit center mobility hub amenities function. That's really critical to understanding how big of a site, for example, the location. We'll then screen site location options based on a set of criteria and also send feedback from the public. And then at the end of this study, we intend to identify the best sites for developing a transit center. I say sites because another notion we talked quite a bit about, you may be identifying a transit center, but also locations for quote unquote super stops or more substantial bus stops that represent opportunities for bus transfer. Realizing now you guys can screen about that one. So here's the overall schedule for the project. Right now we're in task 2, 3, and we're really working to understand existing conditions. We're looking at travel model information to help on flows in South Salem. And this information is all going to roll up into the task for current and future market recommend. And overall, we're on schedule, maybe a couple weeks off at this point, largely due to the ice storm, which seems like an eternity ago, but it wasn't that long ago, and the delays that had around other agency outreach, our project, our outreach. So in terms of transit needs, South Salem, we're now looking at the existing transit, considering what potential future changes or extensions to routes might be considered, and as well as new routes. We'll also be engaging in a survey to ask the public about their needs around transit and mobility more broadly. We also have several other phases of engagement later in the project to vet more specific transit center right. And again, we want to understand the future of transit part of town and mobility options so that we select the best. For consideration of this transit center amenities and functions, on the screen here, some of the things that we'll be looking at. For example, you need to know the number of bus bays needed. There's had a lot of discussion already about parking. And then as Steve mentioned, all of the other new and emerging mobility options that we create, right? Car share, bike parking, on. And then we will screen those potential sites by the best possible sites in our needs. And then towards the end of the process, we will engage early outreach property owners really critical understanding willing sellers or not. And I know we've bandied about the term mobility hub quite a bit, and a couple of those from other places. Not saying that this is what the transit center in South Salem would look like, but just some examples of some of the features that are contained in a mobility. I wanted to touch on equity for a moment, both in terms of our engagement with the community during the process, but also in the implementation of the transit center study itself. In terms of engagement, we are translating material in the project site. I'll flash that project site up. We're also, with our initial survey, ensuring that we're distributing diverse communities, including existing providers. We're actually going to mail out to several thousand households in the South Salem area as part of the survey. We always ask for demographic information, who's responding or out. And then you also will have paper versions of material, even though we're relying heavily on online tactics right now because of the pandemic. We also want to make sure we have paper materials available for folks. In terms of the transit center and our recommendations around transit more broadly, we're looking very closely at the communities of concern. We will incorporate the findings from our outreach direct transit recommendation in transit center amenities. Another core consideration, jobs access, that's very close right now in terms of understanding how many jobs one can access now. And then also in the transit center siting itself, we want to make sure that we're reflecting facility and developing a prototypical design that will be comfortable, safe, and secure, and accessible for everyone. I wanted to pause there. If there are any questions about the process of the project?
Director Carney.
Thank you, President Davidson. Oh boy, it was a long time ago that this project started, so it's nice to feel like the wheels are getting greased again. Things are moving forward. So I'm interested in a couple things. One is, as we're looking at the development of this site, and maybe would be speculative at this point, and it could be a question for Director Pollack, but is there any possibility that we could use some of the COVID recovery money to fund parts of this process or the infrastructure itself?
So I'll give an answer that I can give today, because the American Rescue Plan guidance hasn't come out as far as the transit relief, but I can tell you they have really focused it that it needs to be on operations and payroll. Before you could use any $1 of it, as I understand it today, for any capital project, you have to certify that no one has been laid off. Because what they don't want you to do is put some capital money into a project and then 2 years from now lay people off because there's no money. The American Rescue Plan money is designed to help bridge any gaps in funding from now through fiscal year 2024. So we get it, we have to look at forecasting so that we can maintain all the jobs that we have with that money before we'd even consider a capital project. But a more likely scenario is to look at the STIF, the employee payroll tax funding, both formula and the discretionary pots to look at helping fund this, along with federal money, as we do have federal grants that we'll be putting in under the 5339 this year. And we've also identified this as one of the potential earmark projects, if earmark move forward as part of reauthorization.
Thank you. And then I just, I have a couple more questions and then I will yield the floor. I'm sorry, everyone. In terms of assessing transit needs, I know that there is some sheer numbers crunching that goes into it in terms of where are, what are populated corridors, how many people are within a quarter mile of, potential locations so that you minimize the hassle of getting to a transit stop or a multi, what are we calling them? Now I'm blanking on the term.
Mobility hub?
Thank you. The mobility hub. But one of my concerns is that assessing needs right now through a survey, it's kind of difficult for me to expect that my fellow community members would have the same level of trust and reassurance about something that is potentially crowded and is kind of community property at this point, like a bus. When I haven't left my house without a mask in over a year now, and I'm just concerned that it's difficult to use these results to reliably interpret what we might see as a transit need in the future, given people's current potential apprehension about using transit. And so I'm just wondering how we're taking that into consideration.
Address that, the question. So I think we're getting at that by a multifaceted look at transit needs. Survey is part of it. And actually, we're going to be asking you to be a little bit retrospective. And we do have questions about how you use transit before the pandemic and how you use it now. Make sure we get that perspective. But we're also looking at a lot of data. For example, we have trip flows, where people are going from place to place in South Salem. And we also have plenty of information around population density, locations of traffic. And I think we're going to triangulate all this information to get us to a good understanding of the transit South Salem. We're relying on multiple.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And then my last, and maybe this is an idea, is I wonder if there's any way the sort of ride demand, Uber, Lyft services, is there any integration or potential integration of those services with the mobility hub as part of a first last mile solution? And could we formalize those partnerships and then get all their data? Or maybe that is just an idea for the partnership. And then just on the slide about equity, I think when you say communities of concern, you're talking about underserved communities or under-resourced communities, that one or the other or both?
Yeah, we're talking broadly about those groups, our racial and ethnic minorities, low income, limited English proficiency, younger people, older adults, those with physical disabilities.
Great, thank you so much. I'm done with questions now.
Thanks, Director Carney. Other questions? Okay. Seeing no other questions, thank you so very much for the update and looking forward to the next quarterly one. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
So next on our agenda is the action items to approve the general manager's 3-year strategic work plan.
Great, thank you. So the item, as President David said, is really for the board to approve my 3-year work plan, which is part of a 2-step process for my performance evaluation. Just to refresh your memory, this time last year, kind of modified the process where strategically we'd look out at the next 3 years on activities and projects that really are focused on the general manager's role as opposed to organizationally. And then that would be approved in March. And then I would come back to the board in May with an annual work plan focused on the next fiscal year based on what you've approved in the strategic work plan. In the packet is the draft work plan for your review and ultimate approval. Most of it should look pretty familiar. So obviously, last year there was projects in out years that were just there as kind of placeholders. Now, some of them have moved up a little and we've added a project at the end. In the work plan, you'll see some that were actually, to be upfront, and we'll get into more detail when we do my performance evaluation on why some projects weren't completed, but recognizing where I think I'm going to be on some of these. So the first couple of projects were this year, but we're slipping them into the next fiscal year for completion. So the first project, and I'll go through the fiscal year 22 projects, which are the ones that begin this July 1st, is completion of reviewing, updating, and establishing board policies with the end goal of having new board policies for the board to adopt. I don't foresee us getting it done by June 30th, so I've moved that to Q1 of next fiscal year. And that is to approve some policies, but mostly clean up some of the process that we have to make it more clear on what are board policies and what the board's responsible for and what are administrative policies of what I'm responsible for. The next project is a facility assessment, and I've moved that end date a quarter to Q2 of fiscal year 22. And that's really to come in and have a firm do a complete facility assessment of our existing facilities and make recommendations for either long-term growth of existing facility or potential recommendations for a new operating facility. Part of this has slipped. Some of it is because we can't bring in a firm to do an assessment because of travel, but that's opening up now, and we just kind of put that on hold. The third project for next fiscal year is an employee engagement survey, and we moved that to Q2. It really wasn't the right time to conduct an engagement survey during COVID, and so hopefully we'll be kind of more back to normal in the fall and we can engage that assessment. The next one is establish a DEI plan. So we're well on our way to that now, and actually this Saturday we'll be interviewing the 3 final firms for a potential award. And based on their plan, that will be done. Their work would be done and have a published plan for the board to move forward on sometime probably in Q3, but I've given the full year on that just based on, it's kind of out of my hands, it's based on the consultant's process. But all of them seem to have it done, be able to get it done within a year. And then develop a district strategic plan. And that should be done next fiscal year. The goal really is to kick this off in the fall when we can all get back together and the new board has been properly installed, the one that begins July 1. And then looking farther out is the district's climate action plan. And I've put a target date of Q1 of fiscal year 23. And some of that is kind of lagging behind the city's climate action plan. So once that's finalized, we can incorporate those transit components into our plan. And then looking also at 23, the ridership analysis, which was scheduled for this next year, but with ridership in the tank, it really doesn't make sense. We'll be looking at ridership now, but not for what the intent, I think, of this project was for. And then establish a plan that ensures the district acts as a mobility integrator for the Mid-Valley region. That really falls in line with the completion of our long-range transit plan, which is underway. Well, it's out for bid right now. And then a new project for fiscal year '24 is we'll have things in place now with post-COVID, with all the enhanced services and some enhancements to that. But then doing a true feasibility study on whether there's merit in integrating the local and regional services into one service. And that's kind of target date of fiscal year '24. So this is my proposed work plan, strategic work plan of big picture items. And just as a reminder, in the summer, once the fiscal year is done, we'll evaluate how I did in year one of the current year. So we're kind of overlapping, but this document really is designed to look forward so we can get into some more detail in the upcoming year. With that, my recommendation is you approve the work plan.
I was a little surprised by your recommendation. I'm just kidding. That was expected. Thank you, General Manager. Are there any questions for the General Manager before we maybe make a motion? Director Bush.
I don't know if this is the time to ask, but it just dawned on me, in the climate action plan, you talked about following, kind of behind how Salem's going through their climate action plan. I was just wondering how much Kaiser is being included in that conversation. This is a time to talk about that, or just a time for another topic for another time.
I'll start it and turn over. We know the city of Salem is conducting a climate action plan, and President Davidson is on that committee. As we develop it, we'll certainly engage Kaiser on what they are doing, but really want to, Salem is driving a plan that has pretty significant impact to transit, and once we want to be able to respond to that. So.
Yeah, I would basically echo that. I think the city of Salem is taking a lead here, and a big component is public transit, as it ought to be. And so making sure that we're able to work with them to partner to meet those goals. If the city of Kaiser wants to jump in and go through a full-blown process, we will happily work with them on that. But I think because the city of Salem is acting, it's kind of incumbent on us to also act with them.
Okay. So does that put us in the, go ask Kaiser if they want to participate in that, or leaving it up to Kaiser to come do the project on their own?
I think
Again.
perhaps it could be two simultaneous process, but this city of Salem's effort is focused on the city itself. That's not to say that things that are, particularly around public transit, one of the recommendations, which I'll touch on in my report out, is that they're envisioning through their modeling tripling of public transit ridership. And so obviously, because Salem and Kaiser are so interconnected, that would likely have an impact on Kaiser, because it would require more frequency, more service from us, which would undoubtedly benefit Kaiser. So there's going to be spillover effects, but I would love to see Kaiser undertake some kind of focused climate action plan, but until then, I think we can do what we can do within our sphere of influence.
Okay. Thanks.
Other questions? Okay, if there's no other questions, is there a motion?
I move the board approve the general manager fiscal year 2022-24 strategic work plan as shown in attachment A.
Okay, there is a motion from Director Carney. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Richards with the second. Thank you. Any discussion?
It looks very, very planful and optimistic, and I'm really excited to see the district take on some of this work. So thank you.
Yeah. Any other comments or discussion? Okay. Ms. Galiazzi, could you call the vote, please?
I will. President Davidson,
Aye.
Director Nguyen, Director Carney,
Aye.
Director Richards,
Aye.
Director Bush,
Aye.
Director Inahos Pressey,
Aye.
and Director Krebs.
Aye.
It's a unanimous vote in
Thank-
favor.
Thank you very much. And thank you, General Manager. In fact, next up is the General Manager's report.
Thank you. I just have a few items to report. So good news for transit employees. Governor Brown has accelerated the vaccination prioritization and announced that transit essential frontline workers are now eligible effective April 19th, which has been moved up from May 1st. Some essential workers have already received the vaccine because they have qualified for some of the previous criterias that are already out there. But we're excited to see that date come, and we're starting to prepare for that now. In speaking about vaccinations, I did want to share a little vaccination support that Cherriots is providing to the community. For Northwest Human Services, we are providing a waiting room, if you will, to accommodate the mandatory post-COVID vaccination recovery time. So the Northwest Human Services is renovating their Edgewater office, and so their vaccination clinic is going to be staged at their Monmouth location. And as a result, they don't have the necessary room for patients to wait after they're vaccinated. So they have reached out to us, and we are going to provide a bus each day that the clinic is operating, and it'll remain there to allow people post-vaccination to sit on the bus during their recovery time. And in addition to that, the Monmouth Northwest Human Services, we have a regional Route 45 bus stop nearby there. So Polk County residents can utilize Route 45 to go to the Northwest Human Services Station. As well, we're also providing you already know this, service to both mass vaccination clinics. One is at the Oregon State Fairgrounds, and we provide service via Route 13. And the Polk County mass vaccination site is at Western Oregon University, and we provide service there via Route 40X. And our service is still free of charge, so anyone who does need to get to a mass vaccination site has those opportunities for public transit. As well as we are providing Cherriots Lift and Cherriots Shop and Ride service to Marion County Fairgrounds on clinic days. And riders who need information on that can just give us a call, and we can provide that information. So it's one of the ways we're helping to give back to the community. Next month on the board agenda is a full May service change report, but I did want to give a couple of highlights, the short version of what's more important to the public. So beginning in May, we will return the late night weekday service to pre-pandemic levels. So, now our last pullout's at 9 o'clock, and so some routes will go to 11 o'clock. which then puts our weekday service at 100% to go along with our Saturday service, which is 100%. And there's other, some notable changes, some tweaks to routes that we'll report on next week, or next month. And then the plan as of today is to implement Sunday service in September, if conditions continue the way they are. And with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you, General Manager Pollock, and you sure know how to bury a lead. Sunday service in September, that is exciting. I am at least excited by that, so.
A plan.
That's fair, okay. That's very fair. So with that, we'll roll along into board reports. We'll, as usual, go district by district. So first is District 1, so Director Nguyen.
Then. I know words are going to fail me tonight because it's been an exhausting 2 weeks. 6 women of Asian descent were murdered as they went about their life, trying to do what any person would, trying to make a living to feed their family. It's been a long 15 months for people who have received the brunt of hate, having been scapegoated and blamed for a global pandemic. And yet, I will fail. If I fail to speak tonight, I'll fail my community. So, you're gonna have to feel this discomfort with me as I struggle through my remarks. I wish I had no tears left to cry. I wish I didn't have to spend this last weekend trying to explain to my kids why their experience in life might differ from that of their friends for merely looking different or coming from a family composition that's different. I wish I didn't have to take a call right before tonight's work session and board meeting from an Asian person running for school board that's been targeted in a racial attack. So my call to action to you is, if you've not had to do the extra emotional labor of having to respond to these events, I'm asking you to use your power and your privilege to interrupt the hate that you see when you see it. Because it boils my blood when I hear a transit employee experience acts of hate with a person chasing and hitting the bus, yelling racial slurs at them as the bus driver. That happened in the transit district north of us. And shortly after that, I heard another situation where a rider felt power over someone else. Another fellow rider who was with her son, kicking them, hurling racial slur at them. No one, I repeat, no one should be made to feel like they don't belong. Unless you're an indigenous person, regardless of how you arrived here, with or without your consent, we are all guests on this land. In conclusion, I just want to use this opportunity to remind the general public that this board, just like many other boards and commissions, is made up of common everyday people trying to serve their community. We're volunteers, we're humans, and we come with feelings. And just like everyone else who's have had to figure out how to make virtual schooling work and also working from home, so did we. And when something happens in the community, that's our neighbors, that's our friends, that's our family. and I refuse to give in to the hatred. I believe we're better than this. I believe the only way out of this is through love and restoring our humanity. And this brings me to the point that the timing that this board has decided to prioritize the work of the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility Committee is so needed. As General Manager Pollock said earlier, we've made it through the internal screening process. We've invited 3 firms into the next phase of interviews. The interviews will happen this Saturday after the initial scoring that took place back on March 6th. So, to conclude my report, it's been an honor, a privilege to invest my emotions in the best and highest good in this way. And it seems to be the most redeeming factor in the dark days. And I appreciated the opening remarks that you made today, President Davidson. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Director Nguyen. Director Bush.
Whatever I have to say pales. Thank you, G, for your vulnerability and speaking to our community via this platform. Can I go last?
Sure, of course. Yeah. Director Carney.
Thank you, President Davidson. Thank you, Director Nguyen, for your brave remarks, and President Davidson for opening the meeting with what I thought was a very necessary sentiment. I think, like many of us, I am wearing my privilege very heavily these days. I thought I would share a quote before moving into the actionable items on my report or post-action items. It's from the Code of Ethics for White Anti-Racists, and it was written by Timothy Wise. And it was edited and updated last summer in response to the Black Lives Matter movement, but I think that it is very relevant today as well. He writes, "We oppose white supremacy because it is an unjust system, and we believe in the moral obligation to resist injustice. While white supremacy principally damages people of color, we believe it compromises the humanity of white people and poses risks to us all. In this sense, although Black and brown folks are the targets of this system, white people are collateral damage. Because we understand white supremacy as a contributing factor to war, resource exploitation, and economic injustice, we see eradicating the mindset and system of white domination as a matter of collective preservation." There's a lot of other very helpful information in that article. But I just want to say again, thank you for your contributions to our community and your contributions tonight. So earlier this week, I did attend the SCATS Policy Committee. It was our first meeting in 2 months, and we had a presentation by the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Administration, updating the SCATS. Sorry, I've closed the window where I have all this information. Certification review for the SCATS planning process. SCATS has been issued, I think, find the number, a few recommendations, 3 commendations, 6 recommendations, and 6 corrective actions. And they will have until 2023 to incorporate those into their unified work program. There was a tip amendment, and Director Davidson, you and I exchanged messages briefly about this for resurfacing and smoothing I-5. It turns out all of that money comes through ODOT, and we incorporate it into our transportation improvement plan at a local level so that we can coordinate the work and timing with other TIP projects, and also as a way of recognizing kind of the overall inputs into the system. So it's all ODOT money through a variety of sources, and none of it is local. However, there is, so that was a TIP amendment because it extended the length of I-5 that will be resurfaced. And if you extend the length of a project over a quarter mile, that's what you qualify for, is an amendment. And then there's something called a TIP adjustment, which is a smaller change to the transportation improvement plan. And we made one of those for a bike and pedestrian focused project along Hollywood Avenue in Silverton. And then there was some discussion of Metro's, so Metro, the Tri-County regional government for the Portland area, wrote a letter to the Oregon Transportation Commission that had some potential implications in the suggestions that it made for our MPO. And so Mike Jaffe brought those to our attention. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Director Carney. Director Hinojosa-Pressey.
I just want to take the time as well to, I really appreciate your remarks, Director Nguyen. I am so happy to be serving alongside someone like you in this volunteer position. And I really appreciate everything that you've been able to do for the community, your community, our community. And it just further highlights the importance of representation of our communities in these spaces. So thank you. On another note, so I attended my first Citizens Advisory Committee meeting on March 16th. I think that was just last Tuesday. And this month, it feels like it's dragging on. So members from the planning team led a discussion on the topic of unmet needs in transit. Committee members received questionnaires with the agenda, were asked to provide input and develop questions for consideration about services and amenities for transit. This was the first stop in planning outreach efforts to develop and implement service improvements. And then there was a lengthy discussion regarding work on the South Salem Transit Center site selection project, as we also heard here today. The project consultant discussed specific aspects about the project, and the committee provided some good feedback about the initial concepts and potential amenities to be considered in a design. Some discussion items included the need for a mobility hub, facilitating better cross-town transit options, Cherriots' ability to integrate different mobility options overall. Parametrics, which is the project consultant, will return to the June CAC meeting to provide feedback and update the group on their progress. Staff led a discussion on the contactless fare payment system project. Staff will also ask for input from the committee on the project, which will be used to develop the scope. And lastly, the CAC members were given a demonstration on the customer-facing features of our new CAD AVL system. The committee expressed excitement with some of the upcoming features that will be available to the riders. I also found that very interesting to be able to, in real time, see like when the buses are arriving, I think that's definitely going to better it's just for the benefit of our ridership to be able to give accurate times. Yeah, and then the next regular meeting will be June 15th. And that's it for my report.
Thank you, Director Hinojosa Pressy. I'm up next. Before I dive into my report outs from the different committees I serve on, I also wanted to thank Director Nguyen. You mentioned in your remarks that we would have a chance to sit with your discomfort. And I want to, I guess, thank you for allowing us to sit with your discomfort, because I think it is very important that we as leaders in the community take time to sit with the different constituencies of our community, to mourn with those who mourn. And so thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I think it is very important, especially to someone like me, with all the many blessings and privileges I have in my life. So thank you. So this month we had a Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments board meeting. It was the first one with our new executive director, Scott Datson, as well as the first meeting with the new chair, Sal Peralta, out of McMinnville. He's a city councilor there. And so with kind of the changing of the guard, both in chair and executive director, I think there's a lot of energy around reimagining or perhaps revisiting the role that the Council of Governments plays in our region. And so that's really quite exciting. Nothing concrete to report on just yet, but look forward to seeing what that shapes up to be. We did not have a Mid-Willamette Area Commission on Transportation meeting recently, and the April meeting was actually just canceled. But as I mentioned last time, I had asked in our previous meeting to get to engage in a discussion there at that ACT level about improving safety along the Oregon 99 East corridor. I wanted to reiterate that that is my intention, that we have that conversation there at the ACT. I have received a 2003 report, which I guess was the last safety report conducted in that corridor. I will begin combing through that, but in the time since our last meeting, another individual was fatally killed, or was killed by a vehicle again. So the numbers continue to climb. That corridor is a known danger to individuals, and there are known solutions, but I will leave it at that. So the other thing I wanted to report on is the Salem Climate Action Plan Task Force. We met, I believe it was this month, but the consultants that the city has hired, they gave us a glimpse under the hood of some of their modeling, which was really interesting to see the kind of assumptions that they were making and why they were making those assumptions, and based on what data they had collected. And as I've mentioned before, transportation emissions are the largest sector of emissions that the city of Salem has. And so if the city of Salem truly wants to be a net zero community, as the city council has adopted by 2050, they're going to have to, we're going to have to get very serious about tackling transportation emissions. And as I've stated many times before, public transit is a ready-made solution there. So I mentioned this earlier in our board meeting, but some of the assumptions that the modelers made was a tripling in public transit ridership. I think we can get there, but obviously we need additional revenue. And so I'm looking forward to a constructive conversation with the city of Salem to make clear that if they're serious about taking action on climate, that we need to be a true partner in this, in tackling this. And that will likely mean assistance with revenue to be able to increase frequency and increase coverage of our different routes within the urban growth boundary. And from the task force experts and the community, I believe that they've compiled 211 different action items or strategies that are now being considered in a survey that has been released to the public. You have until March 28th to participate in the service or in the survey. I believe it's salemclimateactionplan.org. You can access the survey there. It's both in Spanish as well as in English. I would encourage those of you that are on social media to perhaps blast that out to your different social constituencies, because the more people that engage in that, the better. It's a lot. It's a very large survey. And so what's nice is you can engage with just a section of it. And so if you want to just focus on that transportation component, you can do that, and then have somebody else engage with the different pieces that you may or may not have expertise in. So that is my report for this month's board meeting. Director Krebs.
I had to turn my mic on there. I would like to comment on Director Wynn's comments. I totally support equal rights for everybody, and I think we've seen countries where they persecute people and they lose a whole sector of the population that is not contributing to the well-being of the society. And at the beginning of this meeting, we all made the pledge to the flag, and I always like to emphasize the last 6 words of that, with liberty and justice for all. I totally support the board's stance on equal rights and equity for everybody, because my family immigrated from Europe, and so we've all had roots that go back to someplace else other than North America. But anyway, I feel I have not suffered those problems that the Asian people and the black people are suffering, but I feel that we need to work to alleviate them, or otherwise this country is going to go downhill. And with that, I'd like to also say that I have had my second corona shot, and I'm saying this not to brag, but to ask anybody that's in the qualified status to go online. It takes about an hour or less than an hour to go through once you have a reservation out at the fairgrounds. And we all need to get that shot so that we can get back to the new normal and get life back to where we want it again. And with that, I'll give you my report. This month, I attended the annual meeting of the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments, which was very well run, and it was, I've worked on some webinars also, and I thought it was very nice that they had pre-recorded the presentation so that they could keep on the time schedule. And it was a very good meeting, and kept pretty close to the schedule. I attended the Morningside Neighborhood Association, and I was in the SCATS meeting that has already been reported on. And I have been involved with a couple of the intercity transportation advocacy groups, and we're working with the Oregon group and the Washington group to coordinate activities and work on the legislatures to get funding for intercity transportation in both states. And I think that's about the total of my report this month.
Thank you, Director Krebs. Director Richards?
Yes, this month for me has been pretty quiet, but it was very interesting. They had a chance for 400 veterans to get their shots, and we started all together, and being older men, they thought they gave them all a time schedule, and I got out there about an hour early, and there was 450 people in line waiting that had hours all the way Saturday, so it was quite a group of people. And it did show up one thing, that where the VA center is, if you know anything about Salem, it is at a point that you have to walk better than 2 or 3 blocks in the wintertime or in the rain to get to the VA center. And I was wondering if there was some way that the bus people could set up a system so there would be a bus stop at the VA center so they could get from there to without going over the railroad tracks and everything. So that's something for us to look into maybe at some time in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Richards. Director Bush?
Thank you. I appreciate those comments. I have a family member who needs to use that facility, and it's very hard to get to if you're not do not have a way to get there on your own. You have to walk from the bus. I feel a little more composed, so maybe not. Thank you again, Dr. Nguyen, for your comments, and thank you for allowing us to feel just a little bit of the horror that's going on in the community. And all the things I've done this month, I've attended like the state of the city and the state of the county and the COG awards and listening to all the things they've said. You know, we've as a community, as a country, we've been through so much stuff this past year, and we've seen a lot of resiliency. I've seen, you know, from the ice storms, the fires, and pandemic, and businesses, and people are still looking to the future, still striving to find the best in themselves and each other. I want to offer that as hope to move forward and make things better in the best way we can. One of the discussions I attended was the Oregon State Chamber of Commerce discussion on the future of natural gas, and that directly affects Cherriots. And they talked about compressed natural gas. They talked about some of the tax issues and tax credits that go along with all of that, and how we need to diversify. It emphasized the need to have a diverse source of fuel, not just electric, not just natural gas, not just diesel, because any one of those could, you know, fall apart in some way, shape, or form, and we need to be able to use a variety of things to keep our bus moving. And then that just feeds right into our community, right? We don't want just this group of people or just that group of people. We need each one of us in this puzzle to keep going. And we fit together, and we need to help each other find those places. So another highlight was in the Coffee with Kathy that happened a couple of days after our last meeting. Our host is Leva Lees from Portland General Electric, and she had also spoken at the Woodburn Breeders the day before and talked about the response of Portland General Electric to the ice storm and the many people who came from outside our community to us to help us weather that storm. They had over 900,000 customers were affected, and I'm sure you've heard all the data, but it was just overwhelmed me still. And here it is, you know, a month later. They had 1,200 line crews, the most in their 130-year history. They're housed in 650 rooms, of which Democrat Community College put them up so they could maintain the social distancing. They worked hours and hours to get our community together. They came from as far as ways as Texas and other states to help us in our time of need. I just really appreciate all the collaboration between all the entities. Plus, the PGE Foundation also awarded $25,000 in grant money to nonprofits for their hard work, and $75,000 to Marion County to help shore up and fill in the blanks so the people's needs can be met and get those sticks picked up, you know, get the repairs made and move back along. There's one other thing. Oh, I do want to bring up kudos and appreciation for our annual Transit Operators and Maintenance Workers Day and the things that our district did for them. Director Feeney talked about giving all of our folks a pin that has a superhero cape on them. You know, here we are, we're here to help our community. And we think you guys are the guys and gals. Go forth and conquer? Is that what it is? Help us get to where we need to be safely. And now I'm beginning to ramble, but I really enjoy this, serving here on this community, on this board, and I have grown to love Salem and Kaiser and all the entities that I have put myself into. Years ago, I was not anything like this, but because of all the people I have met and stood beside and have stood by me and helped me in my feelings and allowed me to be in their space, I'm a better person. And I hope that one of you can say the same because of.
Thank you, Director Bush. With that, that concludes our Board of Director reports and concludes our agenda for this evening. Thank you very much, board members, for attending and for fully participating. And thank you to those in the community that may be watching for tuning in. With that, we're adjourned.